Well, are you right? All right, how's it going? I'm Grant. You. This is the Doodle Review here today with another edition of Soundbites. It's a series where we speed run through a bunch of albums that I've listened to over the past few months, but just like haven't had enough hours in the day to do deep dives on them. Today it's a rap banquet, a hip hop smorgasbord. It's all you can eat beats. The first of this collaborative project between Kanye and Ty Dolla Sign, Vultures One, was well, it was shit. But honestly, this album makes that record seem like My Beautiful Twisted Fantasy by comparison. Some of my opinion on the first one was due to my just general distaste of Kanye's behavior the last couple of years. But if I held my metaphorical nose and listened, there are a couple kind of decent tracks. And the best I could say for the rest is that it was just boring. Vultures 2, though, is legitimately piss poor. It's got throwaway songs, sloppy production, and lazy bars from Ye throughout. In fact, 5:30, Kanye just trails off and delivers several bars kind of rhythmically humming to himself. And when you take into consideration the audio quality on a number of tracks as well, like particularly the vocals, it just sounds like this stuff was slapped together, not even at the last minute, because some of these songs have apparently been in the chamber for months. But it was just everything was just chucked on without thought or without care. There are several moments that try to recapture the crowd chanting of the previous record's Carnival, which seemed to be a bit of a hit among younger crowds listening to Vultures One, but attempts to do it here just feel forced and lame. Sampling used to be Ye's killer move. He could pull from tracks in unique ways and build them into original songs that became their own thing. But it's developed at this point to just roping in his mate Ty to do karaoke of the memorable hooks for almost no reason at all. You know, just taking from artists like Liam Bridges, as on this record. Even the some of the samples are just boring, like Portishead's Machine Gun at one point with not much change. And I wonder how that lands with Jeff Barrow, who's generally pretty outspoken of people sampling his work. It just sucks, to be honest. I could be persuaded on a couple of tracks like the last one, but overall, my overall thoughts are bad. Navy Blue, aka Sage El Cesar, is a skateboarder, model, and rapper. He dropped an excellent record last year called Ways of Knowing, which was a fantastic slice of personal, heartfelt underground hip hop. The record came out on Def Jam, but sadly, in the time since, the label dropped him. As a result, the album he had been working on couldn't be released. Memoirs in Armor was created as a reaction to that situation. The whole record is reflective and steeped in a melancholic kind of vibe. And to me, you really feel this kind of sense of hopelessness and even maybe in a weird way relief based on a decision taking destiny out of your hands that there's nothing you can do about it. Beats from child actor Nicholas Craven, Budgie Beats, and El Cesar himself, among others, all weave together to create this deep collection of hip hop. Despite the downbeat vibe, like the best cases of melancholia, there is a glimmer of light, and that creates the catharsis. This record is a tight 30 minutes and is definitely up there as one of my favorite underground hip hop albums this year. Some of the segues start to wear on you after multiple listens, but overall, this one's next level. As a hip hop fan, I'm ashamed to say that I've never listened to Rakim before. I know the man's a legend and highly revered within the genre, but I just haven't found my way to his catalogue over the years. And in fairness, he hasn't really put out a record in like 15 years, pretty much the entire time I've been super conscious about listening to new music. Anyway, I'm stoked he did put out a record because this is crazy good. If you're into 90s boom bap, classic hip hop, this is for you. It's fully produced by Rakim, which is wild. I didn't know he was a maestro behind the desk as well as in front of the mic. Tracks like Pendulum Swing have a killer Cuban Links feeling. That track in particular is wild. It's about 6 minutes and sees Rakim joined by King Crooked, LA the Dark Man, Cannabis, and Chino XL, all of them just going off. Do not sleep on this record if you're into gritty old school hip hop with great wordplay from classic charismatic stars. This is the one for you. Again, it's next level. This is kind of a weird one. It's billed as an album, but feels a bit more like an EP or an extension to his 2023 record, Michael, inspired by his tour with more of the gospel format of the Mighty Midnight Revival, which I actually saw come through the UK and thought was really cool. This collection is supposed to be an extension of that whole thing. There are two or three tracks here that get carried over from Michael and provided new gospel tinged interpretations. You've got Exit 9, Talking That Shit, and Slummer, the last two combined as Summer for Junkies. These are interesting new takes, but to me, don't really hold a candle to the originals where the beats are a little more interesting. I normally prefer my hip hop a bit more organic and soul drenched, but in this case, the weirdness of some of those original beats wins out for me. The originals are more where it's at. Humble Me has a great beat with a hypnotic bass line, and Nobody Knows is a great gospel soul hip hop fusion. I feel like Mike should have resisted the urge to release this quickly and instead of kind of padding the release out with the new versions of older tracks, just gone deeper into the originals because they were cooking with some of these. But the inclusion of the Michael tracks makes the record feel a bit muddled in its short 10-track run. I'd say this is decent as a whole with moments of greatness. This is the seventh mixtape from Curry, designed to pay homage to his influences from Southern hip hop. I really like some of the spooky chill beats the rapper is known to select from time to time, and on this one we get Ultra Shit and Hot One, which scratch that itch for me. Elsewhere, the album has got some dark, grimy beats like Sked is particular favorite in that style. G's Up adds some choral vocals for extra drama as well, which is cool. There are a bunch of features on almost every track. One of my favorites, including Mexican OT on Black Flag. Others not so keen on would be Ty Dolla $ign showing up for an out of place kind of R&B tune. Some tracks wear thin and get a little repetitive, like Hit the Floor, but overall, this is pretty fun. I'm going to say it's great. So I've been on record many times talking about how much I enjoy Boldy's laid-back street rap style, somewhere between a coke rap veteran like Pusha T and an underground workhorse like Mike. In a lot of ways, this album delivers everything I want. Great soul sample-driven beats with mean bars from Bojack, aka Boldy. At this point, though, 13 albums in, I'm actually starting to feel a little bored by the style. A couple years ago, before his terrible car accident, which he's thankfully now recovered from, Boldy dropped Indiana Jones, which, despite being another full collaboration with producer Rich Gaines, felt dynamic in musical style and had a lot of features. This was a real win because Boldy is incredibly static in his style and delivery, so surrounded by beats that mix things up and artists bringing different energies, it just made for one of the more exciting releases in his catalogue. Since then, though, James has continued a string of albums collaborating with just one producer at a time with little features. And again, the style here that Conductor Williams brings is what I like. And on this record, we get some great joints like Terms and Conditions and the Stark Old Switcher. But on the whole, it's another set adding another 10 tracks to hundreds that have a similar flavor in his discography. Despite some great vibes, as always, I think this run is getting a bit tired and it'd be great to see this underrated artist mix it up for next time. So for once, I'm going to say this is mid. This record is dark and dusty. It really captures the vibe of a dark night of the soul, a soundtrack to walk the city streets alone in the early hours of Sunday morning amidst the remaining chaos of Saturday night. I don't know much at all about Alexander Spit. Young Morpheus chose him as producer on this album, but I'd love to hear more. The textures he chooses are smooth enough to create that after midnight feel, but still weird, handmade, and bumpy in a way that really stands out. This one's great. You might not have heard of Previous Industries, but if you follow this channel and you're into underground hip hop, you'll likely have heard of Open Mike Eagle. If you do like Open Mike, then via his last couple of records, you will have heard features from Video Dave and Still Rift. Previous Industries formalizes this crew's long-standing tradition of features and guest verses as a new rap trio. Open Mike Eagle, Video Dave, and Still Rift come together on this record to build on the talking points that often permeate their songs. Service Merchandise is actually the name of an old-school retail chain. Long gone now, it's a relic of home analog entertainment systems, the forgotten institutions, the previous industries of Laserdisc, VHS, VCR, and CRT TVs. When these three got together to ruminate on their nostalgia for 80s and 90s pop culture paraphernalia on Open Mike's last record, it became a highlight of the whole album. Dedicating a new album to it with great beats from the likes of Child Actor and Smoke Benito was a killer move. This record is lightweight, it's nostalgic, it's humorous, and warm like the glass of your old school TV set after a full day of movies and video games. This is great. This one's got a cool story. You might have heard of The Alchemist, who's produced for pretty much everyone over the years, for from Action Bronson to Arm& Hammer to even Eminem. You might also know Hit Boy, who's equally run the gamut, making chart smashers for Kanye, Travis Scott, and he recently helmed a renaissance period over 6 albums from Nas. You might not be aware of Big Hit, though, and neither was I, to be honest, until I started doing this write-up. Turns out Big Hit is Hit Boy's father. He spent the last 20 odd years in prison, slowly watching his son rise up the ranks as the producer of note in the rap game, and now it's Hit Senior's turn to get behind the mic. On this record, Hit Senior partners up with Hit Junior and Alchemists, who offer a pretty strong hit of dark but handmade hip hop. Big Hit has a vocal presence almost like a deeper, gruffer Denzel Curry, yet where Curry has an anime-loving softer side, no such trace is evident with Hit. This album is cool, but to be honest, I find it a bit wearing. Save for Slive, Slick, and Wicked towards the end, it's not much fun. And all respect to Big Hit, man's been through a lot. There's a great LA Times article about his story. For all his well-earned and serious bravado, there's just a lack of humor, dare I say a lack of charm, coupled with the overall heaviness, honestly just makes this a bit of a drag of an album. It might be an unpopular opinion, but this one's pretty mid for me. Similar to Boldy James, if you've followed this channel for a bit, you may have seen me talk about Real Bad Man a bunch. That's because, like Boldy, this producer or team is prolific, releasing multiple albums in a year. This time, he's partnered up with El Camino out of Buffalo. This is a gritty case of boom bap, and if you like your hip hop to be smooth but rugged, great samples, a real raw organic feeling with verses capturing a street level view of life with plenty of Mafia and Wire references for good measure, then this one is for you. Some of the beats are honestly astounding. Champagne pisses, new levels, expensive clothes, and slick talk, but at this point that's just something we've come to expect with Real Bad Man production. El Camino is solid as a central protagonist, but I don't find myself coming away with too many lines or hooks from the artist that stick with me once the record's done. This one I'm going to say is decent. Now, despite being released relatively close together, Temple Needs Water offers a real contrast to The Game is the Game. Whereas that is a very well executed, but if we're being harsh, kind of unremarkable slice of underground boom bap, this record has something to say. Now, while every artist on this list today is speaking their truth, rapping their vantage point of life in a way that deserves and demands respect, the fact is that it is a competitive space. Who can be the realest, the rawest, yet also have enough flair and character to be compelling to listen to for a full record? As a result, completely serviceable artists like El Camino or Big Hit just don't make waves because, frankly, Rakim, Killer Mike, or even Denzel Curry are just more vibrant. This is where Temple Needs Water, Village Needs Peace has the edge. Luca's collaboration with Real Bad Man is an album dedicated to painting pictures of what life could, should, and for some is like outside of life under late-stage capitalism. It talks about minimizing the ego, working to support a community, expanding consciousness through a better relationship to the earth. On one hand, Temple Needs Water couldn't be further from the other records that I've explored today, and yet in some ways it's just another side of the same coin. I don't really do wholesome or hippy dippy shit in my music, and that is a vibe you definitely could have taken away from the description I just provided. But the fact this record lands with me so well is that it comes from a vantage point of protest. It's an embrace of traditional values, but also holds a mirror to our broken society and rejects it. This gives the whole album the edge I love from hip hop while talking about an altogether different topic. From a production standpoint, RBM isn't delivering the same level of instant head knockers as he is on the El Camino record, but the reward of this is he gets to really broaden the horizons. In addition to his amazing work, we also get contributions from Shabaka Hutchins and Portishead guitarist Adrian Utley. Lyrically, there's so much to unpack here, and I don't really have time to do it justice right now. I'm just going to give this a next level, but look out for it in my end of year list, where I'm sure to go deeper on it. All right, that's 11 albums. So definitely time to knock it on the head. All of this is obviously just what I reckon. So let me know what you're saying in the comments, and, check out links down below for other reviews that you might be interested in. If you can be asked to do all that, you may as well subscribe, stick around, share some thoughts, show some love, or just have some abuse in the comments. And I'll see you in the next video. All right, mate. Take care. My day you go. Bye.